Okay, thank you very much, Ash. Hi, everybody. Good evening. So my name is Nebechi Okaro. Yes, I'm a PTDF Scholar, as you can see. Yes, so my background, I graduated with a first class in electrical and electronics engineering from Covenant University in 2023. Yeah, I served 2023, ended serving 2024, and I was waiting for PTDF. As funny as it sounds, I knew about PTDF in 2022. I heard it from someone randomly, someone that I didn't even know, and I was in 400 level at that point. So from then I was just waiting for it because I knew it was for me, right? As funny as it sounds, yeah. So 2025 was a year of a lot of unfortunately. Any of us that's in the job market will understand the unfortunately. So I had a lot of unfortunately, also with scholarships, and PTDF came, the application came late in 2025. So I was already feeling like, well, this is probably over, maybe it's not coming, but at the same time, I knew it was for me, right? So let's just get into it. So the application came out, I applied, I picked schools in the UK. I was thinking Germany, but I wasn't so sure. So I just decided to settle with the UK, right? And I was shortlisted, thank God. My interview was on the first day by 9 a.m. on the first day, that is 9 a.m. on the 14th of July. And when I got the email, I was so excited, but at the same time, I was anxious because I didn't really know how to prepare for it. There's some videos on YouTube, but that's not really how I learn, it creates a lot of pressure for me. So I kept thinking of the best way to go about it. Then I saw one of the past scholars sent me the link for this same webinar last year. It was a pretty long one. I stayed from beginning to the end, hearing all sorts of stories. Thank you so much, Ash, for that. Thank you for coordinating that. So I heard people's stories, their experiences, their testimonies, and it gave me, will I say, insights of what to expect and how to prepare. So definitely you've seen the documents that are required of you. You need to have 3 copies at least of each. You need to print anything that will show your achievements, so it would show how far you've come, would show something about you. I printed a lot of things, but it's better to be prepared. So my interview was by 9 a.m. as I said. I got there by 7:30 a.m. PTDF Towers, Abuja. And I got there and I saw a lot of people by 7:30. So I was already like at the back of the line. Then of course you have to print your interview invitation with the QR code because they ask for that to check you in. Yeah, so I waited there for a while from 7:30 around like 1. They moved us upstairs. So the PTDF tower is, really big. So my interview was on the 8th floor, I think. And after moving us there, we spent another 1 hour just sitting down and waiting. So I'd like to emphasize the importance of the God factor. You have to pray for what you want and you have to expect what you want and take what is yours. So before getting there, I already, what they call positive affirmations. I already said it. I'm a PTDF scholar. No matter what wanted to happen, I already knew that was my situation. So while we were waiting, they moved us to another place to wait, and there were 2 panels on that floor. And where they directed me to was the first table. But there was this guy behind me that just ran and took the space and sat there. And I didn't really understand what was going on, but everything happens for a reason. So as I was sitting out there waiting, it wasn't my turn, but the panelists came out to get their food, their snacks, something like that, yeah. And after a while, when they came back from their snacks, he looked at me and he said, "Do I know you from somewhere? Is your name Rachel?" And I'm like, "My name is not Rachel. My name is Nebechi." Then he went into the interview room. He came out again and he said, "Are you sure I don't know?" I said, "Sir, I don't know you. Like, you don't know me," that kind of thing. So people that were before me, they told them, one girl went in for the interview and they told her to step out. Then they told me to enter. So I was already getting a bit nervous because like, what's going on, right? So I got there, gave them all my documents. They scanned the documents using these blue lights to check authenticity, right? And they started asking me questions. So far, they asked me questions that were not relating to why I was there. Yes, you know your SOP from beginning to end, your statement of purpose, right? I knew what I was going there to answer, but they did not ask me the questions relating to that. And the questions that they asked me, I did not have answers to them. So the first man goes on to ask, he said, I know you're not a petroleum engineer. You're not a petroleum engineer, but what are the different sectors in petroleum engineering? I'm like, okay. So I answered, I said something. And he said, well, you tried. Then they started teaching me. So that's something I also learned at the webinar before I went for my interview. Be teachable, be ready to learn, be humble. Don't carry your shoulders up because everybody that is there has gone before you. The people that are interviewing you, on my panel, there were 2 academics and 1 PTDF staff. The academics know more than you do. So just be open to learn. So I sat at the edge of my chair and they were teaching me and I was nodding and I was learning, kept saying, thank you very much, sir. I didn't know that before. Thank you for teaching me. Then they asked for professional memberships. I had 5 professional memberships because I didn't want to take any risks with that, So I showed them everything. They asked, are you sure this is all? I said, yes, this is all I have, Then after that, they kept asking me petroleum engineering questions. And he kept saying, I'm asking you this. I know that I don't expect you to know the answer, but I just want to see if you know it. And I did not know the answers. So he just kept teaching me, as I said. So after all of that, they said, thank you very much. I'm very impressed, with the whole, my results and everything. And that was it. Then they called the other person that they sent out because of me. So I don't really know why that happened, why they sent somebody out to interview me. Yeah. But that happened that day. And I was done around like 2 o'clock. Yeah, about 2 o'clock. So that's basically what happened with my experience. But one thing I want to say, like something I'll say that helped me was going there early. Because everybody has jitters when it comes to interviews, especially when you're there late. Now you have 2 things to worry about. So it's best to go there as early as you can. As Daniel said, no matter the time your interview is, the earlier you're there, the better. Then another thing I would like to say is being humble, as I mentioned. Be teachable. Be ready to learn. If they're asking you something you don't know the answer, you should probably ask what it means. It shows something. It shows that you're not proud. Yes. And as Balki said also, you shouldn't sit until they ask you to sit. It's not your table. It's not your panel. So just be as humble as you can be. Your demeanor matters. Yes, you are anxious, but try not to show that you are anxious, Yes. And I think that's about it. So another advice, yes. If you can stay to the end of this webinar, you probably should, because we are all different people with different experiences, and you don't know the one that's going to help you. So just try your best, stay to the end, and get as much as you can to help you prepare. Yes, so I think that's about it.